Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Learning Lines for what day is it? It's Tuesday, February 14th. How could I even forget that? Happy Valentine's Day. Was today not like the most beautiful day? The sunshine was awesome. We got streaming in the windows at the store, and just really, it was such a stunning day. And yes, I know it's a tease. I know that winter is not over yet, but that doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. So thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. I hope that you are going to learn lots tonight with my Learning Live. The header card said that we are learning about washi tape tonight. And I kind of tweaked that a little bit. We are going to play with some washi tape, but we're also going to play with some of the 49 and Market fabric tape. And I actually have 10, 10 different ways that I am going to use these tapes. And pretty much what I do with one, you can do with the other. I'm not doing anything super different with the fabric tape that you can't do with washi tape and vice versa. But yeah, I've got 10 different, I'm going to do one 2-page layout, but I'm going to do 10 different techniques. I guess techniques is the or techniques, functions, 10 different ways to use this washi tape here on my 2-page layout. I've got my little cheat sheet here. We'll come back to that at the end. But hopefully you pick up one or two little tricks along the way. And just because I'm doing a layout doesn't mean that what I show you can't work on a card, can't work on a 3D project, can't work on a traveler's notebook or an Elizabeth Craft planner spread. All of those things are going to apply no matter what I use tonight on the layout. You can use it on any project. Now, I do ask for a little bit of patience. Matt is working with a new computer. I am working with technology that may or may not lose power. We're going to do our best to get all of this in here and just roll with the punches. All right, so like I said, I am going to do a 2-page layout tonight. I am using the 49 and Market Art Options Rouge. Don't know if you can see it there, it's awfully small. And my iPad is a little bit delayed, so hopefully I can see everything that's going on. There we go. So I'm going to start by making my base page, and I will show you technique number 1 for using tape, and that is literally using it as tape. Maybe before I actually get into that, let me talk a little bit about washi tape and fabric tape. If you have never ever used washi tape, it is essentially a paper tape that has pretty patterns on it. I believe it originated in Japan, and usually it's fairly thin. It does have a papery substance to it. Often it will be translucent as well, so you might see a pretty pattern with kind of a clear background that when you stick it down, the background kind of disappears. This is one of the red buffalo checks from Echo Park, and I just felt that the reds really matched really well with this paper. And then we have the fabric tape. So our 49 Market has been coming out with these sets of fabric tape. And I'll be honest, it's one of those things that I was a little bit afraid to try because I really didn't know much about it. But they are essentially like washi tape, but they are more of a fabric finish as opposed to paper. Let me see if I can get this one started here. So it does have a little bit more flexibility than the washi tape does. It does have that fabricy feel, but it's still fairly low tack stick. So I can put it down and lift it up again. And I'm going to share with you a whole bunch of stuff to do with this stuff tonight. The other thing that is really neat about the 49 and Market tape is it comes with this fancy schmancy little cutter. Comes right inside the box. All you do is you perf out that little lip that's there on the front of the box, and it does give you instructions on the end. And this little guy just clips on like so, and then you've got a little cutter for your tape. Now you can also use scissors, of course, And I did find that even the fabric tape, so washi tape often I will just tear. It's easy enough to tear. You don't have to get scissors unless you really want a nice straight edge. The fabric tape is much harder to tear. I did tear some of the wider one, but you do have to do a little snip with your scissors or with the trimmer to get it started. So it's not something that tears well on its own. So that's a little bit about the stuff that I'm going to be using tonight. And we're just going to get started in prepping our base pages. So I'm using the Fond Memories paper and the Embody paper, and I'm going to do a fun little technique. So number one way to use washi tape or fabric tape is literally to just use it as tape. Now I noticed I forgot to cut off my advertising strips, so we'll start with that. Hope everyone is doing well tonight. I see lots of people jumping in and saying hello, so hello right back. So there's one advertising strip out of the way, and another advertising strip. I've got to get out of the way. And 49 Market is always such gorgeous, luscious, thick paper, so it's really a treat to work with. So here's my plan. What I'm going to do is that this is going to be my left page, this is going to be my right page, but I'm going to cut off a corner here and a corner here and essentially swap them so that it gives a bit of a fun little diagonal look to it. So let me grab my pencil and I'm going to mark. I am going to do this on the right side up just so I make sure I get the right sides. But if you are fussy with something like that, you could always do this on the back. I want a nice square triangle, so I'm going to count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That doesn't feel right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. I'm going to put a little tick mark there, and I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the reason why I'm doing it evenly is so that I can, it's a square, so I can put that corner anywhere else that it needs to be. This one here, so that's the top one, and I want this bottom one taken out as well. Make sure I stay up here on the camera. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2, 4, 6. So 6 inches for both of those. And I'm going to line up those tick marks like so and trim off that corner. Margaret is saying don't get rid of those advertising strips. You can always use them. I know some of them even have some sentiments and things on them, so you definitely want to look at those advertising strips before you get rid of them. Great tip. And some of the things I'm going to share with you with washi tape, you can use with your advertising strips as well. All right, let's put that down here. Okay, so my page is going to go like this, and now I'm going to flip my corners. So now it's got this kind of cool, funky diagonal thing happening. But like I said, this is where I'm going to use my tape literally as tape. And I think I'm going to start with the washi tape because I'm going to go with the fabric tape. Now I am going to pull it out instead of using the trimmer and just use my scissors. So I'm going to pull a strip and I'm just going to, let's do one at a time. Bring it a little bit closer. Oh, my fingers are not sticking today. Okay, so line that up. And I'm going to use this fabric tape to join these together. And that's why I wasn't too worried about those tick marks because they are going to be hidden under the tape. Okay, this is And you can see that it is a nice low tack, so I was able to pull that up and get it in the right spot. Snip it off. And then let's just go this way. So there, I am literally using this as tape. So that's technique number one, or trick number one. Now, if you're not too worried about wasting it, this is where I may come to the washi tape, which is a little bit lower price point. I'm going to do the back as well, just so that it stays nice and firm. And then let's do this bottom one. Oops, not that one, this guy. Come up on camera, stretch that out. And flip. This one, I want that pink corner showing. And there we go. And let's just use a little bit of washi tape. If you don't have washi tape and you don't want to waste your fabric tape on the back, you could always just cut a strip of computer paper as well, printer paper. So there, look at that. Look how pretty that looks already. Just stretching right across the page. I'm a little bit off with the alignment, but once it's in your book, nobody's going to notice. And then what I can do is I can take some of these other parts. So that's number one. Use your tape as tape. Number two, use your tape simply as a decorative element. So I'm going to add a few more strips here to create a nice diagonal pattern across my page. So next I'm going to grab this one here. Getting it started is always the hardest part. Maybe I'll put this one over here. I'm going to leave a bit of a gap. And if I want them really nice and lined up, I can even just go right across like this. And snip. Tuck that under, and then I can come up here and just gently snip as well. And this one's got to get curled under. Curled under there. So now maybe I will do this wider one. Maybe I'm going to leave just a little bit of a gap to make that snipping a little bit easier. And same thing. Let's go right across. Donna is commenting that this is beautiful paper. It absolutely is. And quite honestly, the fabric tape just makes it even prettier. I mean, I know you might say, well, that was pretty busy. Why are you layering busy on busy? But one of those vintage techniques is having lots of pattern working together. So there we go. I'm going to leave it at 3 little strips here for now, but that is activity number 2. I'm not finding my words tonight, but tip number 2 on how to use your washi tape or your fabric tape. So we have use it as tape, use it as a decorative element. You can also use it as a border. So this time I'm going to use the actual washi tape, and I am going to, originally I was going to do it over here, but I don't really want to cover up those pretty, pretty flowers. So maybe what I'm going to do is, let's go, I'm just going to come down this this right-hand side and just add yet another strip just to kind of anchor the side there. Draw your eye across the page, and I am going to be using this plaid a little bit later on the left-hand page, so it's nice to have something on the right-hand page to tie it together. So there, you can use this as a border. All right, I'm going to come over and just work on my left-hand page. So if anybody got questions, make sure you pop them in the comments. I know this seems pretty straightforward so far. Even just let me know, do you have a favorite washi tape in your collection? Maybe something I should show you before we get too much further is we all love our Totally Tiffany. Well, the 6 drawer, whether it's the A4 or the 12 by 12, the 6 drawer is a great place to store your washi. Keeps it all nice and handy. That is if you don't want to keep it in the box. We haven't yet found a box that quite fits the boxes. Sorry, a Tiffany bag that quite fits the boxes. But if you wanted to, you could always just take them out of the box. And yes, that is a lot of washi tape, and that is actually a whittled down version. I have purged some of my washi tape. Washi tape does have a lifespan, so if you've had some washi tape for a really long time, it may not stick anymore. But don't fret. That is where your score tape comes in handy. You could just stretch a strip of score tape across your page or whatever you're using it for, and then lay the washi on top, treating it just like paper. So don't worry. And again, it may lose its sticky, but if it does, there are lots of ways to fix it. All right, so on this page, I want to have as a focal point a nice big 5x7 photo. But I don't want, maybe I don't want to put a mat on it. Maybe I don't have the right color of cardstock. Maybe I like it nice and clean. I am going to use my tape runner if I can find it. Here it is. I am going to use my tape runner to tack it down. But way number 3 that you can use, or sorry, number 4, we had tape, we had stripes, we had border. So number 5, oh, I don't want to hide that butterfly. You can use your washi tape or your fabric tape to create your own photo corners or accents to tack down the corners of your photos. So I'm just going to use my scissors and I'm going to cut 1, 2, 3, whoops, and 4 pieces of this gorgeous red fabric tape, and I'm going to use it to just tack down my corners. Donna says she sometimes uses washi tape to create a photo mat. That's a great way. You could either put it right on your photo and border around, or you could put it underneath your photo and just create a frame or a border. Great tip, Donna. That's tip number 11. You got a bonus tip, guys. All right, so there I've got my photo. Kind of adds to that vintagey way, or vintagey look of having those the photos tacked down from the top as opposed to underneath. All right, so I'm actually going to leave left-hand page right now and come back to it in a bit. We're now going to move over to my right-hand page. Make sure I get it the right way. And on this page, I'm going to create a flap. I am channeling my inner Darlene, and I am going to make a flap. Now, I cut this piece from, I believe it is Planners Essentials number 2 die from Elizabeth Craft. I'm going to cut off the tab because I don't need that little tab. But I am going to turn this into a flap that can hide some photos underneath. I am deliberately leaving the holes here because I'm going to show you that's actually tip number 8. So I will come back to that. But this time I'm going to use this nice, big, fat, juicy floral washi tape to create a hinge. So I'm simply going to, now this is quite large. So let me show you what you can do. So I'm going to make sure that this is nice and long. long enough for what we need it for. And this is where maybe I could have used the trimmer, but here I'm just going to tear it. Come on. And it tears just like fabric in that it follows the grain. But the other thing we can do, let's see if I need to start it. Do a little snip. And let's see how this works. Might be a little bit big for this, but here we go, almost there. Look at that tear, nice and straight. I'm gonna leave the slightly skinnier one. I'm gonna use the fatter one on the top. So that way, let me just make sure I'm straight here. And my corner got folded under. There we go. So there, I'm going to put this right across like this. So it's a beautiful accent here, but it also acts as a beautiful hinge. And then what you can do is take that thinner strip and use it on the inside just to reinforce. So now you've got a beautiful hinge for your page. If you wanted to, you could have trimmed this off nice and square. I don't mind it being a little bit longer than my flap. Let me cut that little string off. There we go. And now I can add my photos on here. These are just 3.5 by 3.5. I'm going to put 2 here. And once again, let's come back. Let's use our tape as those photo corners. And maybe this time I'm just going to do, come on, get straight. Oh, because I didn't even tack them down. Just so they don't move around. This is going to get a little bit close, but you get the idea. So maybe this one I'll do down here. Yeah. I'm going to move this one down here and then finish off. So at least it is balanced. Top right, bottom left for each one, and then I can flip and I can put my other photos on the inside. Did I only do one? Nope, there's the other one. So I can tuck this under here. And if I were so inclined, I could finish that off with more of the tape as photo squares. And then up here, you could do your journaling. Margaret is saying that the supply and storage, the 12 by 6, is also good for holding washi tape. I think that's the fabulous thing about Totally Tiffany is that she's got so many different solutions depending on what works for you. All right, now my microphone is telling me low battery. So if at any point you cannot hear me anymore, let me know and maybe it'll just switch over to my phone mic. All right. Keep on going on. All right, so we've got the hinge. That was number 5. Number 6, I called peekaboo. So I went ahead and I took some just basic pink pattern paper and I die cut it with a heart. Well, what's really fun is if you put your hearts, your openings under or over top of where the washi tape is, you get this really fun peekaboo look. So it's all poking through here. So I'm going to do 3 squares here, and this one I'm going to put back on the previous, on the left-hand page. Now this one over here, I'm actually going to do as a pocket, so I will come back to that one. Okay, so I'm going to put this guy here. I'm going to put this guy up here. So this isn't necessarily using the washi tape in a different way, but it's showing it in a different way. And this one I want to make into a pocket, so I'm going to use my foam strips. Like so. And like so. And let's piece together this last one. Here we go. So peel. This one's actually not going to be showing anything because it's over here on the right-hand side, but that's okay. All right, so that one's going to go here. So technique number 6 is peekaboo. Let's grab this right-hand one and we'll put it in place as well, just so we have it there. And maybe I'm going to go like this, or I could put it up. No, I'm going to put it down here. Okay, so something else you may not realize or just may not have thought of is that you can put washi tape and fabric tape on acetate. So you may not be able to see this, but I cut a little tag with a die. You could always just cut a rectangle as well. And the fabric tape is going, this little tag is just going to tuck in this little pocket. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little hole reinforcement using the fabric tape on top of this tag. And you could do the same thing here. So let me do it on the tag first. I just want to have a nice straight edge here. All right, so now my microphone is saying power off. Can everybody still hear me okay? Matt, can you still hear me?
Hold on, I gotta turn my volume back on.
All right. Oh, Marcus says she can still hear me. Awesome.
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent. Excellent. So glad to hear that. All right. So I'm just putting the fabric tape. I'm trying to find that middle point and fold it over there. And then I'm going to re-punch that hole so that it looks like a tag. There we go. And this can just tuck in the pocket. And then you could do the exact same thing up here with the planner die holes. So if you are using these in your planners or if you are just decorating these, I'm only going to do one in the interest of time here, but it would just go like that, fold in behind, that way it's same front and back, and re-punch your hole. Or if you were really diligent, you could mark your holes before you cut, put the washi tape on first, and then run it through your die cutting machine so that it cuts the holes at the same time. All right, so imagine I did all 6 holes on that one, but you get the idea. There we go. So that just creates that hole reinforcement, which is tip number 8. There's 8 different ways I have used tape here on this layout. All right, 2 more to go. And I hope you will be amazed. So what I did, and this did work for both the washi tape and the fabric tape, is I took a piece of just thin white cardstock, so 80-pound Nina. You could even just use computer paper if you wanted to, but I cut out a square and I layered it up with the washi tape, and then I die cut out the shape. So that way you get full coverage. You don't have to worry about getting in all the nooks and crannies, And the die, the edge of the die actually presses that edge of the washi tape into the paper. So you don't have to worry about it curling or coming off that die cut. So I actually cut 2 flowers, and from the fabric tape, from the fabric tape, I cut a floral heart. Now, the one thing I did find with the fabric tape is if your die was going to be bigger than how wide the tape was, the sides of the tape aren't designed to line up. That's where the washi tape worked out really well because I could very easily line up those strips and you don't even really notice the seams at all. It was a little bit harder on that with the fabric tape, but I was fortunate that my heart was just the right size. So I'm actually going to build that as a little cluster over here with, maybe what I'll do is I'll do those ones here and I'll bring this one over here with the pocket. So just as a little added touch, you can turn your washi tape and your fabric tape into embellishments. All right, let me tack these down. So this one's just going to use tape. And we'll tack that into place. This one I'm going to use tape, just like so. This one, I don't have any foam squares, but I can use some foam strips here and pop this up on some 3D foam.
What do you mean you don't have any foam squares? We have an entire store full of foam squares.
I'm sorry, Matt, I can't hear you. All right. So I'm going to put the heart there. All right. So lots and lots of techniques. I have one more left to share with you. And that will be 10 different ways that we've used washi tape on this layout. Washi tape and fabric tape. Now, I don't know, these were actually harder to find than I thought they were going to be in my kitchen stash. But I went and grabbed some twist ties. I've got short ones, I've got long ones, and we are actually going to turn these twist ties into embellishments. I think I'm actually going to use the shorter ones. So I'm going to tear them apart. Let me make some space here. Let's do 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to use, let's start with this light colored fabric one. And let's get it nice and straight. I'm simply going to cover both sides of that twist tie with the fabric tape. Now, depending on your twist tie, though it's gonna be okay. It's gonna say mine was starting to resist the tape. I may have needed a little bit of glue with it, but I'm doing okay. Covering both sides. Line that up. I'm gonna snip it off. Snip it off. Actually, I do want it straight. But now you've got a little element that has wire in it that you can make into all kinds of shapes, and you can have it curl, and you can do some fun stuff with it. So there's one. Let's do one just out, and let's do, you know what, I'm going to do both of these. This is the red, just the solid red fabric tape. Cover it up, fold it over, stick it to itself. Snip. I will trim that in a second. Again, the narrow tape seems to work a little bit better with this, but you could absolutely do it with the wider tape. I may not do it with this big guy unless I trim it down into smaller strips. But there. Trim that one. Let's trim that one. And my plan for this was that I was going to just create little little elements here over on this border. Let me grab, I don't have any glue dots handy, but that's how I would attach these, is with some glue dots. So I will take a photo of that afterwards, but just pretend that I stuck this down. And there we go. So 3 little accents on our page. And look at that. Gorgeous 2-page layout using this fabric tape in so many different ways. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, I don't have a title on this, but one thing you could do is take this wire tape, stretch it out on a long piece of white cardstock, like I did with the flowers, like I did with the heart. And then if you have alphabet dies, you could cut out your title in this gorgeous fabric tape for your page. So just to recap, how many times did I use washi tape? 10 times. I used it as tape. I used it as strips. I used it as a border. I used it as photo corners. I used it as a hinge, which is number 5. I did little peekaboo treatments. That's number 6. I used it on acetate, and maybe I could put a little border at the bottom as well. So that's number 7. I reinforced my holes. That's 8. I die cut it. That's 9. And then I made my own twist tie embellishments. That's number 10. So if you are ever challenged to create something with something that's already in your stash, or maybe you see that Doodlebug washi tape, or you want to try this amazing 49 and Market fabric tape, there's so many different ways that you can use this. So don't worry about it just being a small decorative element. And you know what, really the way I use washi tape the most often is to seal envelopes. You can do that too. Dale is saying she loves that we made a scrapbook page instead of card. You know what, we try to mix it up as best as we can, but every single thing I showed you here will work on layouts. It'll work on cards. It'll work on planners. The fabric tape, I believe, would also stick onto wood or metal, or, you know, sometimes I get really cool candy containers and that kind of thing. If you want to cover that up, you can use this washi tape. This stuff works on just about everything. If you need more stick, then just add some of your score tape underneath and you are good to go. So that is my learning live for Valentine's Day. Lots of hearts, lots of red and pink for Valentine's Day, but all these same techniques you could use for masculine layouts, masculine projects, and do all of these great different techniques. So my challenge to you is go to your stash. I can pretty much guarantee that most of you have a stash like I do. Go to your stash, and even if you just create something that uses 3 of these techniques, then you have used them in a different way and learned something new tonight. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful, I guess, 24 hours, because I'll be right back here tomorrow night with what's new, and we will see you then. Good night, everyone.